so much information out there. It's insane. You got some free stuff, you got some paid stuff, but at the end of the day, if you really want to get good at something, you got to speed up the learning process. And this usually means that you have to be working with a coach, with a mentor, or maybe just taking some programs, be it free, be it paid, or you could be just reading more books. However, if you make the wrong choice, first off, if it's a paid program, you're going to be losing a ton of money. And some of those programs are pretty pricey, so we definitely want to save you that waste of money. The second thing is time. Obviously, you are someone who is a busy person. You don't have a lot of time to be testing out different things, seeing what works. And of course, if you're working with a coach, he should be or she should be helping you minimize time waste. So that's why we're going to talk about how to pick the right person or program to commit to. Hi, my name is Niki and I'm a certified fitness coach working with people all across the world. And in order to get to this, let's call it a pretty interesting job, I have to be working with all kinds of other coaches, take up and sign up for different programs, and also always have a mentor. Over the last 10 years, been working with a ton of different people, learning from probably hundreds of different people using different resources. So this is where I'm going to share with you all that I've learned over the past decade. Here's 5 criteria for selecting the right person to be working with. And a quick note here, when we're talking about coaches or mentors, it doesn't have to be a single individual. In some cases, especially if you join a program, you could be learning from multiple different guys at the same time, or girls, of course. Or we could also mean books or other resources, in which case you're not really having direct access to an individual, but you're exposed to their content, you're exposed to their ideas. In certain situations, you may consider someone being your mentor, even if they don't know you exist. A coach is going to be someone who is at a position to offer value to you in your specific niche, in the specific topic that you're interested in, and they have enough reference experience in order to be relevant to other people, not just them. First point, do some background check. This can include things like doing a simple Google search, going online, going through their website, going through some other third-party resources, going through some comments, reviews, feedback, whatever you can. Get your hands on, essentially. Get as much information as you can in order to make an educated decision. What you're really looking for is trying to uncover some red flags and to also gauge what is the level of service that you're going to be receiving. The ratio between the negative and the positive stuff, if it's not in favor of all the overwhelming positive comments, then you want to be a little bit more careful. And a quick tip here that's really going to help simplify the process, look for connections between someone that you already trust, someone that you have worked with, have produced pretty good results for you, and see what that person thinks about the other person that you're trying to work with. And ideally, even when you're trying to select a new coach, assuming you have a little bit of knowledge and a little bit of expertise in that field already, or at least have worked with some people in that specific field, go for the people that are recommended. Don't just go for some random person that you don't know anything about. Second point, it builds on top of what has been already covered in the first point. And the point itself is look for the trail of success. If someone is really good at something, there are going to be some signs. That's why you're going to be going really carefully through all the comments, all the feedback, and find out what this person has already achieved. If they have produced results, it's going to be there. There's going to be some testimonials. It's either going to be on their website, or you can even try and talk to some of their current clients, some of their past clients, go through, let's say, some Google reviews, find the contact details of the person that has worked with said coach, said mentor, and then try to get their opinion. You want to also get the opinion of various type of clients. You want to see people who had a lot of success, but also people who weren't as happy, and try to see what really happened there. Because a lot of times you may get a biased opinion from people that just got lucky, or maybe the process worked very well for them, but they're not a typical representation of the typical client of that coach. By talking to also people who are not happy with the service, you can really understand what happened there. Maybe the client wasn't as committed, so it wasn't the coach's fault, or it wasn't that the program was just poorly designed, it was just the person was not committed. So get as many opinions as you can, look for the trail of success. If someone is doing a good job, there will be signs. If there are no signs, that's really a bad sign. Third point, biases and personal interest. A lot of times when you're working with someone, they may upsell you or they may have you sign up for an additional service or invest in an additional product. It's pretty common. However, you really want to ask yourself the question, is this person having my best interest in mind, or are they trying just to make some extra money on the side or just trying to expand their business? Is it a win-win scenario where both you benefit because it's a quality service, it's a quality product, and of course your coach gets a cut as well, especially if it's an affiliation type of deal with a third party, or maybe it's their own service that you really believe in and they really think that's going to help you as well. So they get a little bit of extra promotion, extra money, all good, win-win. Or is it a win-lose scenario where your coach or your mentor, they really benefit because they're getting some extra cash, or maybe they're getting some extra exposure, but it's not the right service for you, or maybe this service doesn't even work. On to the fourth point, and this is about experience. It is a topic that we've discussed in a previous video, but when it comes to experience, when it comes to choosing who to work with, see if all of their experience is based on their own personal story, or is it based on experience working with a multitude of different people in a multitude of different situations? Just because someone has a lot of experience is not all. Wisdom is not all. It has to be relevant to your specific situation. So a lot of times if you let's say have someone who has built a great business and they start giving you some advice, maybe their advice worked for them, but it doesn't work for you. But if someone who has built multiple great businesses has also worked with different people, helped them grow their businesses as well, they probably know a thing or two about building businesses, and they can probably teach other people with different backgrounds and different situations, and they can help them achieve the same. On to the last point. It's not so relevant to the selection process, but it definitely influences the coaching process, the ongoing coaching process. This is the ability to listen to people and have patience. You can probably relate to a similar situation where you were talking to someone, you really wanted their advice, but you had so many things to share and you really wanted to give them as much detail, but they just cut you off, they told you what to do, and you were like, wait, what? You didn't even listen to me. Like, how do you know this is going to work for me? Maybe their advice was on point, but if you don't really feel listened to, you're probably going to always doubt that this was the right advice, that they got all the details, and that you should even apply their advice. So that's a big part of coaching, patience and the ability to listen to people. Because when you feel listened to, you're far more likely to execute and apply the advice that you hear. Lastly, a couple of disclaimers that are going to help you expand your options. A lot of times people get neglected for the wrong reasons. Number one, being good as a coach doesn't mean that you're good at applying your own advice and also being good at what you're coaching. Walking the walk and talking the talk is not always applicable in every situation. So I could be totally out of shape. This would not impact my ability to coach other people, to get them in shape, to have them lose weight, gain muscle. Most of the times, yes, if you're a fitness coach, you are probably in good shape, but there are certainly exceptions. Don't overlook someone just because they're not applying their own advice. There could be reasons why they're not doing this, and this may not be indicative of how good of a coach they are. On to the next disclaimer. Being good at something doesn't make you good at everything. And I've definitely made that mistake plenty of times, working with people, getting some solid advice and coaching in a specific field, and just assuming that all their advice was good advice. And then when they gave me advice for a completely unrelated field, it went really bad. I'm not saying that this is always the case, but there are certainly areas of expertise, and think about the person that you're working with, what they're good at, where you can trust them, and everything else, take it as an advice from a friend. They may be right, they may be wrong, but just take it with a grain of salt. Last disclaimer, experts also make mistakes. Just like you, just like me, they may screw up occasionally. Not everything that they say is going to be 100% foolproof. The major difference between someone who is not an expert and someone who has more experience in a certain field is how good they are at bouncing back and learning from those mistakes. Sometimes mistakes happen because the human being, someone didn't sleep properly, someone was stressed out, this is going to affect their decision making, or maybe they were biased because of something else that happened in their own personal life, or maybe they were not very familiar with your specific situation, so they just made an educated decision there, an educated guess, or maybe there was a random factor where there were three options that could have worked and they just chose the wrong one. It was just luck, based on luck. Alright, that was today's video. Hopefully you got some valuable tips from here. Make sure you apply what you've learned. If you enjoyed this video, hit the subscribe button, and until next time, cheers.